Members, I rise in opposition to SB 37 because of its potential to do lasting damage to our colleges, our economy, and our Texas values. For those who value academic excellence and freedom of thought, I urge you to vote against SB 37. First, let's start with principles. Academic freedom is not an abstract luxury. It is the lifeblood of a great university and a free society. The U.S. Supreme Court recognized that, quote, teachers and students must always remain free to inquire, to study, and to evaluate. Otherwise, our civilization will stagnate and die. SB 37 flies in the face of that ideal. It empowers bureaucrats and political appointees in Austin to intimidate educators and second-guess curricula. We've heard warnings in committee that this bill will lead to professors to self-censor and students will learn less about the world. Do we really want a future where Texas students only get a state-sanctioned, sanitized version of history or science, where controversial topics are avoided for fear of some tip-line complaint? That is not education. What problem are we solving here? Some of SB 37's backers are concerned about indoctrination at our universities and ensuring that degrees have value. We all support quality education and workforce readiness, but our universities are already delivering that. Texas higher ed is a success story. 22 of Texas's universities rank among the world's best. Our public campuses drive innovation, including entrepreneurs, teachers, engineers, and scholars who fuel our economy. If anything, other states envy Texas. Yet instead of celebrating that, this bill would micromanage and politicize a system that isn't broken. The people who actually work in our colleges overwhelmingly say, please do not do this. They know it will invite a tsunami of meritless complaints and meddling that will drive away talent. Top professors who might come to Texas or stay here will instead choose states that value academic freedom. And members, let me remind you, our own University of Texas Chancellor Milliken, left our state and the University of Texas system for California. Whatever that reason is, we need to ask ourselves, why is our top talent here from the state of Texas leaving our state for states like California? We risk a brain drain just when we've worked to build a world-class research university system. The fiscal cost of that brain drain in lost grants, lost business, and lost intellectual capital will dwarf any benefit of this bill. Proponents also argue about accountability, but we already have robust oversight in higher ed. We must ask ourselves, do we trust Texas's own university leaders, or do we think a new state committee in Austin knows better than what it is at Sul Ross or at Prairie View University? Then there's the glaring financial costs. SB 37 creates an ombudsman's office to investigate campuses, 5 new state employees, nearly $800,000 a year in taxpayer cost. In addition, it creates unfunded mandates to our universities who have to respond to new complaints from this new government office in the ombudsman. This is less money that makes its way to students. Who ultimately is going to pay for those additional complaints? Our universities. Remember, every dollar we force universities to spend defending against frivolous complaints or reorganizing curricula is a dollar that is not going to scholarships, labs, or campus safety. And if a university actually lost funding under this bill's penalties, who are we punishing? Students and local economies. And let me be clear on course content. Racism or sexism has no place in teaching. On that, we all agree. But our universities are not teaching hate. When our universities are doing their job well, they should be confronting the hard truths in our history and our society. We should be encouraging more of that instead of taking steps towards government policing on the exchange of ideas. In closing, I urge you to look beyond the political pressure of this moment. We as lawmakers are the governing board for the people of Texas, but we shouldn't be the governing board for every university classroom. SB 37 would set a dangerous precedent, eroding the tradition of shared governance in higher education. Once we do that, what message do we send to the nation and to the world? That Texas no longer trusts its educators? That we prefer state control, reminiscent, frankly, of countries that we consider far less free? We'd be imitating the very tendencies we warn our students about: heavy-handed government that stifles the free exchange of ideas. We all believe in a strong Texas, a Texas that leads. Our universities are a big reason why companies move here and why families stay here. Let's not cripple them out of fear that a course in women's studies or ethnic studies turns someone into a raging liberal. Let's have the confidence in our students to reject SB 37. Texas doesn't need a capital thought police to get a good education.
Ms.
We need
Flores,
freedom.
for what purpose?
Mr. Speaker, does the gentleman yield for a question?
Mr. Perez, will you?
Yes.
I'm almost done.
Not at this-
Okay. I'll
We
let
need
you finish.
freedom and openness, which have made our higher ed system great. And with that, members, I urge you to vote against SB 37 and preserve the academic freedom that has made Texas great.
Ms.
With that-
Perez, for what purpose?
Yes,
Ms.
does the
Flores,
gentleman-
for what purpose?
Ms. Flores, yes.
Ms.
Does the
Ms.
gentleman
Flores,
yield for
what
question?
purpose?
Yes, I yield for questions.
Ms.
Thank you.
Perez will yield.
Thank you for your comments. And don't you agree that universities are supposed to be centers of excellence and exchange, a place where students can have curiosity and learn about different issues and topics?
Our universities need to be hubs of freedom of thought and freedom of expression. No doubt that's ultimately what make universities great. The concerning aspect of this bill is that it creates curriculum review committees. To me, this is just the most anti-Texas thing that you can put in a bill. It creates curriculum review committees where you put bureaucrats who are going to oversee and potentially overturn certain aspects and certain courses. So the question we need to ask ourselves, okay, well, how many courses in women's studies is too much? How many courses in ethnic studies are too much? How many are foundational? How many, contribute to the workforce? We're leaving those types of questions up to bureaucrats and not educators. And to me, that's a very dangerous precedent.
And wouldn't you say that we are limiting the students' choices of taking, like my sister, for example, who got her degree in philosophy because she wanted to learn about what the great minds thought and the philosophers thought, and where are new philosophers going to come from, if not through our universities? Isn't that true?
No, absolutely. Again, originally this bill was much more expansive in scope. The current version of the bill, it gives a provision that it's going to focus on general core curriculum, but then there's another line right after that that says, but then pretty much any other course that leads to a degree requirement. So really, any sort of elective, any sort of degree major is going to be affected by this bill. This bill does not just affect the general core curriculum, but opens up every potential course. Every course leading to a degree, every course leading to an elective is going to be potentially reviewed up to an appointed committee.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Toth, for what purpose?
Will the gentleman yield for a
Will you
question?
yield, Mr.
I
Perez?
yield for questions.
Member, I'm sorry, Representative, could you finish this statement for me? From the river to the sea. Can you finish that for me?
I don't.
From the river to the sea. Can you finish that statement
no.
for me? You can't? You don't think there's any hatred being spewed on our college
Again,
campuses?
that is not being taught. Is that a course that's being taught?
It's being taught to our children. Yes, absolutely.
Are you
Thank
conflating? Are you conflating student expression and courses that are being taught? I mean, I just want the record to show the gentleman came and asked a question and then walked away from the podium. But he's conflating the freedom of expression made by students on a campus versus actual course content. And that is the real danger with this bill.
The gentleman's time has expired.